Welcome to Waypoint Connect. It's so great that you are tuning in and with us for this episode. I'm just going to take a pause and just recap what we experienced over the past 2 weeks. We first looked at quarterly with Seasons Clothes Bank and the amazing work that they're doing in terms of creating an opportunity for people that might not be able to afford another set of clothes or what they need to find that item at a very, very reasonable price. And then we looked at Ziggy and what Ziggy did in Ekapumleni, which is in Joe Slovo, where he does restoration on furniture and specifically upholstery work on that. And if we recap Corley's story, it started with her feeling that God said, go and do something with toys. Get kids to share toys and give access to toys for kids that don't have. And from there, it developed into maybe it should be clothes. And partnering with Doxa's Clothes Bank and really giving shape to Seasons as a clothes bank. And that's just such a great story of how God works in somebody's life. And we take that step of obedience and it leads to the next one. And then when we look back on that journey, we're somewhere we never envisioned we would be. But it starts with that first step of obedience and a continuous following of what Jesus wants for me in my life. And not just simply what am I about and what's comfortable for me in my life. And why I'm so excited about Ziggy's story is that despite the challenges that he faces and what he shared with me, which you guys wouldn't have picked up in that interview, is whenever he sees something, he will make sure that he learns through seeing. And then he'll go on the internet and he'll do a bit more research on how exactly and what's the best way. So he's not just simply satisfied with, I can do this, so let me continue doing this. He's continuously focused on how can I do better at this and be better at this. So for him, it's that continuous process, and within the challenges that he's facing, the work environment, the lack of access to the right tools, he doesn't let that stop him. He's not saying, well, I've got this great idea, I've got this gift, ability to do upholstery, but now's not the right time. I don't have the workspace, I don't have the right tools, so I'm not going to start on that now. No, he looks at what he has and he moves with that and he works with that. And I also love his heart, because he will use furniture that he buys and then restores and sells. Sell at a reasonable price because he knows who he's selling to. So he sells it at a very reasonable price so that person that aren't able to go into a regular store and buy new furniture prices is able to access something that basically looks brand new, but at a very reasonable price, because he shares the blessing that he's received with other people. And that's such a phenomenal story. And it links in perfectly for me with Matthew 14, where Jesus came off the boat suddenly to be faced with a crowd of people that knew that he was going there, and he heals their sick. And by the end of the evening, he realizes it's now too late for these people to get something to eat, and it's getting late. And his disciples turns to him and they say, send the people home so they can go and eat, be home in time before dark. But then Jesus turns around and he says to them, no, you feed them. Imagine that. 12 guys, suddenly there's 5,000 people, and then you journey the whole day, and then the next moment Jesus says to you, feed the 5,000. How are you going to feed 5,000 people? And that's just the men. So it's a lot more than 5,000 people. They weren't prepared. They weren't ready. So they look, and what they had was 5 loaves and 2 fishes. They bring that to Jesus, expecting to confirm we need to send the people home, saying this is all that we've got. He then tells them to feed the people with that. He prays, he breaks the bread, they pass that out in the baskets, and at the end, there's food left over. And that's what Jesus wants to do in our lives as well. Have us look at what we think is completely inappropriate for the task that we're given. But if that instruction comes from Jesus, and we know it's from him, and we bring what we have in order to resolve that, then suddenly we step into that space where God provides. We allow God to do a miracle because that's nothing short of a miracle. There's no way physically that they could have fed those people with what they had. But Jesus feeds the people because Jesus is Jesus. And He didn't stop doing those miracles. He continues to do that in our lives. He's just waiting for us to take that step of obedience, like Corley, like Ziggy, and say, despite, God is present and God is saying, and I'm going to step into that purpose. So I'm challenging you today, as you're listening to this message, to step into that purpose that God has given you, not be held back by what you see and the challenges that you face. But if you know God's saying take that step, then take that step boldly in faith with Him. And remember, have a great week.